welcome overdue distraction at last today, where Minnesota United can resume what has become a campaign riddled with complication. They welcome their nearest rivals, armed with several returning tools, with aims of Western Conference supremacy and top spots. It's not the home opener we'd hoped, but it is, at the very least, a safe, warm welcome back to Allianz Field for Minnesota United, who host Sporting Kansas City. And a very warm welcome into the booth. Callum Williams alongside Kyndra de St. Aubin. We're doing our best to social distance. As you can see, we are separated by plastic, which is great because it means Kyndra won't spit on me. But for those of you who are watching, a very warm welcome indeed back to Allianz Field. Kyndra, it is both an honour and a pleasure to be here. Wonderful to have live football back at Allianz Field.
I can't believe not only are we broadcasting live on television, but we get to watch live soccer behind us today on this beautiful pitch at Allianz Field. And what a tremendous way to start off the rest of the MLS regular season. 1 versus 2 in the Western Conference, and only fitting that we're hosting Sporting Kansas City in the first match back here at Allianz Field. Yes, for the 10th time Minnesota United playing Sporting Kansas City since coming in to Major League Soccer in 2017. They also played them down in the MLS is Back tournament, which occurred over the last 6 weeks or so. For those of you who were really quarantining and doing your best to social distance, you might have missed the MLS is Back tournament, where Minnesota United gave a really good account to themselves, particularly in the group stage, Kyndra. And they grew into the game as the tournament went along. The first match against Sporting Kansas City, Minnesota just grinding that one out and getting the victory. Peter Vermees probably pretty disappointed about his team's performance, giving up the late goal, Kevin Molino. But then Real Salt Lake, not a great performance, but you get a draw, and then that draw against Colorado, but enough to advance out of the group stage and make it all the way to the semifinal. A loss against Orlando City. Orlando City, the rightful winner in that match, but nonetheless, Minnesota better and better as the tournament went on, and that was important because how many times did Adrian Heath tell us they had not played a full 90 minutes, 11v11 for months, and they get back down there, get into training, and their feet underneath them, and gradually, slowly but surely, making improvements. And during the group stage of the MLS is Back tournament, points were available to the regular season Western Conference standings, and Minnesota United playing Sporting Kansas City today. The reason there's an air of significance to it, Kyndra, is because it's first v second. Well, and it's important because you and I talked all week about how do we talk about these stats and the standings and the statistics and goals and assists, because we're not counting the games after the group stage in those statistics. But if you look at here, Minnesota did really well in taking points from those group stage games, the ones that were meaningful to the regular season. Portland Timbers, as we all know, were victorious, winning the entire tournament. But nonetheless, 1 versus 2, a big matchup today, and a good rivalry right here at Allianz Field. Let me ask you as well, Kyndra, what should Minnesota United take from a positive point of view in that MLS is Back tournament? Well, first of all, a lot of players got some minutes that hadn't gotten minutes all season long. Marlon Harrison, Ja'Cory Hayes, Mason Toye got some time up top. We had Jose Aja in the center back position, filling in for Ike Opara. He grew into the game. So many things tactically, technically, and individuals as players grew into that tournament, got their feet back underneath them. And let's not forget that they were without Ozzie Alonso for the first match. They're still without Ike Opara. They missed Roman Metanero a couple games. So a lot of guys had to step up and did really well. Good things to take. And during the week, you might have seen the headlines, of course, belonging to the goalkeeping core of Minnesota United, of which, Kyndra, there has been a significant adjustment. Well, and we talk about next man up. We talk about the ability to fill in when others go down. Tyler Miller out for the rest of the season after undergoing hip surgery just the other day. And Greg Ranjitsingh is going to step right in and fill that void. He hasn't made any starts in MLS since Orlando City last year, but he has 2 USL championships under his belt with Louisville City FC. He knows how to win. This team is familiar with him. He has been with this club since day 1 of 2020. So it's not like he's unfamiliar with this group, unfamiliar with the back line. We heard from Michael Boxall this week and said they trust everything about him in the net. They trust his ability to deliver. We heard all great things about him being a tremendous shot stopper and his communication. So it's going to be on the back line to communicate with him, probably him more than him with the back line. What would you say as well, Kyndra? We were fortunate enough to speak to Adrian Heath during the week, who gave us his thoughts on Greg Ranjitsingh's best attributes. What would you say they are? Well, I think you and I, from watching and training and the little time we've gotten to see him and his abilities, I do think it's the shot stopping and the distribution. We saw that in training just this week. His ability to deliver the ball out of the back. Feet, hands, find the players on the outside, get the ball up top if needed, and sometimes you got to stretch that back line of the opposition. I think those are all things that Greg Ranjitsingh Ranjit Singh can do for this club. And most importantly, I think they trust him and they have confidence in him. And I think sometimes that's the most important thing with that back line and the goalkeeper.
Intriguing stuff. Friday night football at centre stage here in the Twin Cities. Minnesota United taking on Sporting Kansas City, and there's still plenty coming your way here on the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota pre-game show. Football back at Allianz Field. Stay with us, still plenty more coming your way. Starting lineups and highlights are next.